When we talk about players that need to have a bounce-back year, 2022 is essentially a prove-it season for them. Garrett Bradbury comes to mind on offense. But on the defensive side of the ball, you have Cam Dantzler, who, coming out of college, Mississippi State, I loved him as a prospect, played tall, almost like a basketball player on the gridiron, especially on the deep passes where he would basically box his man out going for rebounds. It was incredible. Now, since that time, 2 years in his pro career, he showed flashes of brilliance, but has been very inconsistent. Now, reportedly, he's put on weight, which could be a good or bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Good in the sense that he could be much more physical against his man. Potentially bad that the more weight you put on, the more that your frame has to carry, the speed dials down just a little bit. So we'll see come preseason and ultimately when the regular season begins. Now, ideally, a fairy tale ending for Cam Dantzler is that, listen, him along with Andrew Booth Jr., they are the two outside starting cornerbacks for the future for this Minnesota Vikings team, especially with the fact that Patrick Peterson, P2, you can't rely on him to be here forever. This could be his last year. Now, conversely, we could see a situation to where Booth eventually takes over Cam's starting spot this year opposite of P2. And then next year, assuming that Peterson is gone, Caleb Evans is next in line to start opposite of Booth, pushing Cam down the depth chart. Now, there are some factors that have been unfair to Cam, no doubt. Signing Bashaud Breeland last year was a slap in the face to Cam after his rookie year. You basically stunted his development. And then Cam subtweeted Mike Zimmer. We know how much of a pompous ass the former head coach was. Eric Kendrick spoke out against it. Adam Thielen, Brian O'Neill. You can't even say hi to your offensive lineman when crossing him down the hall. It's ridiculous. We know that. However, inconsistent. Going back to 2020, the entire game against Seattle where he got smoked. However, the but is, number one, it was his rookie year. Give him a break. Okay, fine. But also, Zimmer, schematically speaking, was terrible in that game. There were too many times where Cam was left on an island against DK Metcalf. Are you kidding me? However, 2021 last year, the Detroit game, where I used to, on this YouTube channel, I used to put clips of games here to where I would break it down, but too many times YouTube is like, well, we can't allow this to happen. The NFL is going to take over, so I don't do that anymore. But that was one of the laziest attempts of making a play that I've ever seen in my life. It was Anthony Barr territory, the end of the game to where, and I don't know shit about shit as far as coaching in the game of football, but I'm sorry, I do know this much. Go back and watch that shit yourself. The end of the game where Cam Dantzler gave up that game-winning touchdown to Detroit. Pre-snap, the dude was standing, knees locked and everything to where I'm going to demonstrate this real quick. I know that pre-snap as a corner, you need to be squatted. At least, even if your legs aren't at a 90-degree angle, they certainly shouldn't be 180 where you're standing straight up. The dude was standing so lazy straight up and was teeter-tottering back as the play was in motion. And by the time that the ball was thrown, he just said, oh, whatever. It was pathetic. Are you kidding me? That's not on Zim. We can talk about, well, you know what, Zimmer, he's a pain in the ass and all that stuff. That's effort right there. Well, you know what? It was one play. What does it matter? It cost us the game. The last play of the game, you have a mental lapse in judgment like that, at least being in a semi-squatted position, you can be in a situation to where if your man makes a sudden move, you can at least be ready for it to make a play on the ball. Standing straight up, you're going to get beat every single time. And maybe this is an apples to oranges comparison, but Thielen, Kendricks, O'Neill, they talked out about Zim, but guess what? They still balled out despite Zim. Well, you know what? They're veteran players. That's not fair. Okay. Say what you want about Trey Waynes. He was super solid for us. He got drafted in the Zim era. There's no excuses. I know Zim was a pompous ass, subtweeting, and they signed Bashaud Breeland. That wasn't fair. He's gone now. No more excuses. He's been too inconsistent to be a starting caliber outside corner in this league. You got to show something this year, because if not, Andrew Booth Jr. this year and Caleb Evans next year, they are breathing down your neck. The time is now to make something happen.